I'm George Briggs, Executive Director of the North Carolina Arboretum, and we're in April, which is World Landscape Architecture Month. It's also the birth month of Frederick Law Olmsted, the father of American landscape architecture. So every year on the 26th of April, we landscape architects celebrate the birth of Fred. This year is a little different. It's a little more somber than usual as our parks are closed, we're in lockdown, we have stay-at-home orders, and we're dealing with COVID-19 in all of its forms. So I thought what I might do is offer a few thoughts regarding another side of Olmsted that we don't frequently hear about, which is his own ability at resilience. One of the things that marked his whole life was health challenge. Even as a 3-year-old, he observed his mother dying. Later in life, when he was in his mid-30s, he had the death of his brother to grieve. He was very close to his brother. He then married his brother's widow, adopted her children, and shortly after that marriage was involved in a carriage accident that broke his left thigh bone in 3 places and gave him problems and disability the rest of his life. And shortly after that, about 2 months later, as I recall, they lost their own infant child to cholera. So Olmsted's life and his background became an important ingredient in his design philosophy, as he designed over 500 projects, from Central Park in the 1850s to his final project of Biltmore Estate here in Asheville in the mid-1890s. He became a model of building design around social engagement, thinking in places like Central Park and many other projects across the United States about aesthetics, of course, environment, of course, economics, of course, but particularly social engagement, how people can enjoy the outdoors and get away from urban life, industrial revolution conditions at that time, and use nature and the managed landscape as a central asset of their health and wellness. So how would Fred advise us today if he were able to come back and give us some counsel based on his experience over many years? I think he would tell us that we need to think about resilience in the moment. We need to be thinking about how do we survive, how do we get through this. In North Carolina, we have over 700 unemployment claims this week. How do the families who are struggling get through those challenges, and how do we remain resilient as we move forward, either our families or our institutions, in these conditions? I think Olmsted would want us at home to bring that same experience from the park or the forest into our life in the small space that we may have available to us right now. I'd encourage you to check into the Arboretum for our guidance on what we might be able to provide to help you in that endeavor as you think about continuing your outdoor education with your kids or even yourself. But I also think Fred would advise us to be long-minded, to be thinking about the future, to be thinking about how we can use these circumstances to position ourselves for a better, healthier, safer, happier life once we pass through this period of challenge. He had his own challenges of yellow fever, cholera, typhoid, all of those things that were present every day in his generation, where there were no vaccinations to deal with many of those. So consequently, I think resilience now, long-mindedness for the future would be something he would advise us. And if we were going to give Fred a gift for his birthday, his 198th, I believe that we would work collectively, as we are, to open our parks, our forests, our parkways, our arboreta, so that our families, our citizens, can enjoy the health and wellness that they bring. Happy birthday, Fred.